Hi everyone, thanks for watching the video. This is the Trends in Service video to help explain data shared with St. Stephen's Community House in the fall of 2016. To get started, we can look at the first story point here in Tableau. Basically, what we can see, St. Stephen's has recorded over 13,000 services, and we can also see their division among the pantry, produce market, and mobile market programs. We refer to these programs in PantryTrak as events, and it's the main way that data is segmented. You can segment further along things like service type or families, or the destination of the family. But most of the time, the event is enough for everyone. Most months will follow a pretty standard pattern. You'll see week 1, 2, 3, and 4, and you'll see a build with more service happening at the end of the month. There are a few outliers, such as May. You can see there's actually a pretty high number, drops, goes up again, drops, and then even kind of a part of a fifth week is shared with the next month. Produce market data then is a little different than the pantry data. Basically, first we didn't have any back through some of these winter summer months, and until Michelle J joined the staff. And you can see there are 2 a month, and they follow mostly a cycle of smaller first market, larger second, but then that trend is kind of broken in the second part of the data set. And we also have data for a mobile market program. It's not a very large program, but it is an important part of feeding the community. Each event also has its own peak hour of service, and we can see for the pantry, its peak is this 12 p.m. hour. The produce market, its peak is the 2 p.m. hour, and I'm sure our astute watchers will probably figure out that's mostly related to agency policy, so when the pantry is open and when it starts to register people. These time of day analyses depend upon the e-signature. So when the client has the screen presented to them and they type their initials and sign, that is the e-signature, and that's what this data is based upon. Therefore, some data is not recorded in real time. So for example, the pantry has, I believe, the case managers, and some of the early produce markets didn't have all live data, and you can see all of the mobile market data is entered after the fact. The peaks then for that e-signature data, you can see that we're segmented here by pantry and produce market, and you can see across the months when people are using them. Looks like in May we had a couple late kind of produce market things. In the pantry we mostly have our noon peak showing up throughout the month. You can see a few kind of light spots here, such as October. This is kind of maybe still it is the peak for all these hour slots, but it's just generally lower than the other 12 slots. And then our produce market, we see that 2 p.m. one come through as well. To investigate that a little bit more, looking at specific days within a single month, you can pick the month that you're interested in. Say, we just looked at October. We don't have all of our October data yet. But if we pick October, we can see some of the trends here, and we can see look into maybe why isn't the new one showing up. Kind of in general, we can see the produce market just has its 2 days of operation, and we can see the pantry and when it has its kind of standard business hour schedule, and when it has some hours that dip into the evening. We can also look at where people come from So most people using St. Stephen services will come from 5 zip codes. Sometimes these explanations are a little large. You can expand and explore more of them. And you can also click on the map and you can filter, and you can even click for some real-time hunger statistics. And that'll come up in a window, and you can load, and you can see, on the on that day, what are those real-time hunger statistics for that zip code. You can also use this kind of more detailed one. This is not individual families. This is actually kind of rounded latitudes and longitudes. Tableau gave us an extra 0 on the end here, but basically we've rounded the latitude and longitude from the full 8-digit decimal precision down to just 3 digits, which at the equator means no point is closer than around 110 meters. So that does two nice things for us. It makes the data more private, so we can share it with a wider audience, and it actually aggregates it, so it makes the data more useful. You can use these tools on the side. If you unpin, it'll show you the entire data set. If you select the zoom icon, you can say, okay, what's going on in the Morse Road corridor? And you can zoom in, and you can see, where you have concentrations of families in services that have went to those areas. You can also explore a little more on the sides. This is just pantry data. You could say, what about just produce markets? And you could say, what about produce markets, across all time? What's that look like? And you can keep, picking new areas, zooming, refining your questions. The story is just kind of the introduction here. And we'll just revert that. You can also build a tool that you can compare. So on the left we've got the pantry, and on the right we have the produce market, and this is just for August 2016. We could say, let's do August and September, and maybe let's just look at the mobile market compared to the produce market. So we see most of the mobile market services are going to families in this 43211 zip code. This is a dashboard, and a dashboard lets you show multiple things at once and to have interaction between those. So say, we've got August 2016, and we're looking at the pantry and the produce market. If we want to see just what did we do for families in 43219, we could click, and these other views will filter for families that have that zip code. We still have access to the same tools in these other places, and we can still hover, and we can see, some of these families were at the produce market, some are in the pantry, and we can look for trends, and we can look for some answers. To kind of unfilter, you can just click the same point again, or you can click anywhere else on that same map. This component over here, the dashboard, is also a filter, so you could say, what about just the people that came to the produce market, and you can dial in more specifically on them. Or you could even go so far as to say, what about families who shopped in the 3 p.m. hour? And you can highlight those options, and you can see just what happens in the 3 p.m. hour, and you can even filter further just to a single zip code. Once you have explored all of the story points, you can also dig into the different individual sheets. Maybe you want to look more at just this dashboard. Maybe you want it on a little bigger screen. You can, just follow the links here at the bottom, and you can get those. Has the same, features and functionality. You can go into each of the sheets and explore more. Some of these have certain filters that are turned on the side, or they have different options that are available in the story. For example, the story showed us this view, but we could come, and this gives us some more options to just look at certain points in time. And we can, keep investigating and looking for more trends. The time of day analysis, this will occur when there are multiple months in a filter. So all we have to do to fix this is just pick a new month, and we're good to go there. And there are even a couple hidden nuggets, such as this was a prototype for looking at that same kind of data, but dividing it out by zip code, so where are people coming from. And probably the one that would be most useful would actually be this detail map. Maybe if you basically show all of the services and start zooming in on the map, you can begin to see some, you can look for some trends, and you've got kind of more screen space that you can look with. One of the interesting things we can look for in the data set here. So for St. Stephen's, Cleveland and 17th, I believe, so we're about here. We can look and see, really the neighborhood around us, kind of in this aggregate fashion. Remember, these are not individual houses; these are kind of groups of people in and around the area pulled into kind of a grid represented with those dots. So there are just more and more options we can play with. And if you can't find all the sheets, you can keep scrolling to the end here, and you can find more. All right, thank you everyone for your time, and that's the quick explanation of St. Stephen's data shown through Tableau.